workspace. Okay, I think we're
okay,
fine.
it started.
Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us live on this beautiful event. Also, much love to you and love to all of those who are watching the replay. Thank you for joining us in this beautiful event and evening, at least here it's the evening. And also we have a few announcements to make outside of what we're going to be discussing today. Our main topic will be like awakening to a different reality of how things work in life. And we also wanted to announce that our Patreon site is live, and I'm going to share the link this Sunday. Yeah, I'm going to share a video, and I'm going to share also the link. And anyone who is interested can join us, our private little community where we can have different types of interactions with each other. We will have live events, different gatherings and activities that we can do. And also outside of that, we're going to have our own Discord server in which all of us can interact and chat outside of the live events. So you can also, I think you can also have like video meetings between each other if you want to through Discord, as far as I know. And yeah, like this is going to be revealed on Sunday. And on Wednesday, I believe the 2nd is going to be the new moon. And we're going to throw a new moon Patreon party for everyone who has joined until then. So very exciting. And also Higher Vibrations has some exciting news to be shared.
First of all, your camera's off. I don't know if you know that.
My camera is off. Oh my God. So are we live?
We are live.
Okay. If you can't see me, please do continue. I think
okay,
I will manage
there you
some.
Okay. There you are.
Like I'm from my phone right now, so I'm not used to doing it from my phone. So sorry for the technical difficulties.
Perfect. Yeah, so on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will hold another public, I don't know, it's a gathering of light family Zoom meeting. And so all of us, like souls, the awakening people and stuff, are welcome to come and just have a conversation. It is not recorded, it is not aired. It's simply a community space for us to connect to one another free of charge. And it's just a beautiful experience. And thank you to everyone who came to last Tuesday meeting. It was so amazing.
It's amazing. So many of us have gathered. I wouldn't have imagined. It
was beautiful, and just to feel that recharging element, you could feel the energy of just relief and enlightenment in the moment, and that was just so beautiful. So please feel free to come. I know that somebody had an issue with needing the passcode. I don't know how to translate that to a phone. I always use my computer. But if there's too many letter or numbers in the passcode, I don't really know how to solve that problem. But because that was a comment I noticed just a minute ago before we got on.
Yeah, like I also looked at the passcode on my PC or written it down and manually like pasted into or typed it into the phone. Basically, that's how I did it. But I don't know if you can we can work around that, so you don't need a passcode, but I guess that's how it works. I'm not sure. Okay, so should we start, or do you wish to share something?
Yeah, just the stuff that's been going on lately. I just kind of wanted to, I feel compelled to reassure people that, like even the muggles, right? The normies have been noticing it. I've been hearing a lot of comments from the people in my neighborhood and stuff too, but they interpret things differently than we do because they don't really know exactly what's happening. In the past few days, there's been a noticeable influx of energy present, and to not be alarmed by this. I kind of went into that with questions last night, and it was an experience that was beautiful. It kept me awake quite a bit because there was a lot of information that came through, but the main thing to understand is what's happening there's a lot of individuals, souls, whatever you want to call it, that kind of need to pick something up that they left behind, as well as there's a lot of interest. And we are undergoing something that has not been done before. And so there's quite an audience available to us right now. And so that crowded feeling that the normies, the muggles are calling it, it feels like it's harder to see. There's a gray smoke through stuff, like almost like a fog on a clear day. And for us, we can feel the crowded element. I do a lot of saging and sound bowls and protective healing kind of stuff in my house. So it's not in here, but as soon as I go outside, man. So just so you know, if you're experiencing that crowded feeling, it's okay. It's just, there's a lot to be done right now. And a lot of individuals who, mainly the thing is, there's some people who need to pick something up that they left behind when they left here that last time. And we've helped them to bring whatever that was forward through this shining the light on the soul experience we've all been doing. We've been doing a lot of work lately. The ancestral healing has been for people who aren't our ancestors too.
Yeah, like we're connected to so many things, and when we're like born here, we taken on so much basically. Mm-hmm. Because like in the past few thousand years, there has been so much trauma and damage done to everything. And we kind of came in to inherit all of that so we can transform it. And it's a pretty lengthy process, although I think we're doing so much in so little time, and like things are like super escalating all the time. Like stuff are happening more and more and more faster. And that's why also there's so much chaos, because like all of the things that need processing are all coming up to be processed, because like we can't move forward without like working out all those stuff. So that's why there's so much chaos. And also there are some interesting news in the news, like in Eastern Europe, which I've been also like sleeping very agitated way last night. I managed to fall asleep very late, and early in the morning I was like wide awake at like 5 a.m. It was dark outside. And I had this very agitated feeling again. Like I had this, and also many of you have shared it. You felt the same sensation during the last new moon, and also like with the full moon. Like there's this something in the air that is going to happen. Something like it's not necessarily a bad feeling, but this like huge anticipation of, oh my God, like what is happening? Like something big is occurring, or something like that. And like it's very difficult to sleep or to rest in that state. Like I'm also feel like a little hamster all day long, like running around for some reason, even though I try to ground myself as much as possible. But yeah, like there are so many things like happening and being revealed publicly. And as higher vibrations said, like also the muggles or the normal people who are still choosing to be asleep are being faced with reality basically. And this huge wave of awakening is happening in the collective. Like everyone is confused, like, oh my God, like what is happening? Like, have we lived in a lie, or what is all of this that is being unfolding right now? Right. And yeah, like we can also talk about that in a way. Like not everyone is going to have a spiritual awakening, right. But we are very spiritually oriented people, everyone who is listening. So mainly we're going to address that, but I think like we have to kind of address both, because like we are here in the physical, we live in the real world, and those has its illusions and lies and deception and all that. And we came in blind, and we were like conditioned to believe in a version of ourselves and of our entire reality, which is not really representative of what truly is or who we are. Mm-hmm. But we lived in that for so long, and that's what we have accepted. And like for many people, that's all they know. That's all they have ever known. Right. And probably that's all they will ever know. That's perfectly fine too, because like Earth is about all of this forgetfulness, like going deep into density. And part of that is like forgetting who you are and why you have came here. So that's perfectly fine. Like if people choose to stay in that state, because that's what this realm is all about. But now that since we're like moving out of that, many people have the possibility to break through that illusion. And we're like the forerunners of this whole shift. Like this whole thing is happening because like so many of us have came here and choose, even if you don't choose to awaken, but still you're awakened, or at least your high vibrational presence causes like a chain reaction in the collective, which has brought about this whole shift that is occurring right now. Like it has been on its way for a very long time. It has really started, I think, during the 50s, 60s, when the baby boomers came in, like they were like first wave, who were like the trailblazers for all the spirituality and awakening and all that. And until since then, we're like constantly like building upon that. And that is why things are escalating and becoming quicker and quicker, because like we have reached critical mass and even more souls come in and are being born here who are far more awakened than we are. They just don't know yet. They're like the new children, like the new generations who are going to like be inhabiting the new earth. And also their presence accelerates stuff even more. But yeah, like we should absolutely talk about first, like realizing like that our lives were what is not what we thought it was. Like, do you want to address one of the aspects of this higher vibration?
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot of different things that, well, first of all, the fact that we come in, the way that we come in, it's called the veil by a lot of people. Before I knew what that was, I was always given the information. It was the great forgetting, and that's kind of just, so that's why I call it that. And as we come through, like you said, into the great forgetting, we embody the understandings that are accepted among the mass population in order to kind of like begin like everybody else in this experience. What I mean by like everybody else, a lot of people who didn't choose to go into the awakening process over the many, many generations of this occurrence have gone on to some other place, you know, and it's and as a result, it's becoming easier and easier for us to do. And so as these understandings have come through, like those moments where early on in the awareness of my awakening, I guess I'll say, because my awakening's been in spurts, starting when I was very young, but just those moments of realizing or having those thoughts, like, well, why do people do that? Isn't that weird? And whenever I would mention it to somebody else, I would be accused of something was weird with me, like, or you're weird, or you're crazy, or that's just how it is, you know, kind of comments. And that kind of response is designed on purpose to teach us to stay asleep. Don't think about it, just accept, you know, and as those moments have accelerated and I've had more and more of those, well, why is that? And like, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, you know. And a lot of us have realized that we've been blindly following a mass of people that don't have any idea what they're doing, and in fact they're some type of slave. Then yeah, like, oh my goodness, I've been
realization.
Yeah, you know. And what's the hardest part is when I've come, I don't think I'm going to specifically detail any particular thing right now, but when we come to realize that we have encouraged it, something bad to happen, you know, something as simple as what, I guess I'll use an example of things that we buy, for instance, or things that we engage in that encourage slavehood, enslavement to occur, you know, and also some pretty horrific things. As a result of these moments of shock, these moments of awakening that occur, that it's painful, it's uncomfortable emotionally to realize all this stuff, and then to feel that desperation of, oh my goodness, I'm stuck in this thing, in this place, this prison. We're not stuck. By doing, just accepting and being your authentic self is really the truest form of breaking yourself free from that. And, unfortunately, going and shouting from the rooftops to tell everybody about it doesn't do any good. All we need to do is just be ourselves, speak our truth, and those who are ready to listen will hear. Those with ears with the ears to hear will hear it, right? And same with all of this other stuff. And more people are seeing it. But just like a child, that's what we are. We're going through spiritual adolescence. I was talking to Guardian about this earlier. Everybody has to, in some way, in their own, see it themselves. You can't tell them. And as that's happening, it's something that requires patience, because it can be frustrating to watch. You want to say, look at this thing, and to help them break free from this matrix and break free away from the fear, because the matrix is designed on fear. The matrix is designed around the opposite of what God is, and God is nothing but love. And the farthest away from love that you are pulled, the farther away from God you are. So I don't know if that made any sense. I kind of rambled for a minute there, but we are in this space now where people are being freed. And yes, the younger people that are coming through right now, they have been prepared to come to a more harmonious place, a more even keeled, already in place of love. And so a lot of these like teenagers and 20 somethings are had come in, and there's great depression happening for them because they're not prepared. They weren't prepared for where we are exactly. And though they're bringing in something beautiful, some higher dimensional light frequency spaces being brought in with them. They have the codes with them, and each new generation that comes in enables that even more and more. However, their awakenings are going to be harder, because Guardian and I got to see little pieces here and there. Those moments of, why is that? Has been happening for us for generation or for decades, Anyway, I'm sorry for my long ramble, but what do you think about that? Do you have any specific moments that you can think of?
Yeah, like when I had like an epiphany or like my awakening that like changed everything, or are you referring to that?
Just realizing what's going on or whatever.
Yeah, like I know, like I'm not sure if I share this. Like it's going to be, I think, in a couple of days, like 10 years that I had my spiritual awakening. Like it was in 2012, the year when the world ended.
Right.
So that's when I started out in my spiritual journey. And before that, I think I was mostly like everyone else, like in our community or in the spiritual sphere, that I was like very detached from how things normally work or what the accepted norm was. Like I haven't had that epiphany that you did, like to realize like, okay, like this is wrong or this doesn't make sense. I haven't had that for my spiritual awakening. But I just kind of accepted stuff as it were, and it became worse and worse with each year. Like as I progressed in my youth, basically, I became like more and more detached from myself because I was trying to like fit into the accepted norm, and it didn't work for me. And it's really caused a lot of problems in my life because like I became like so desynchronized of who I actually was, that it was like casting me off in a different direction, which was not very beneficial. And all of this resulted in me having like some very serious heart problems at the age of, I think I was 21 or 22. And no one could find out like what was the problem. Like I was perfectly healthy, but my heart was a wreck. So I wasn't able to function normally on a day. Like I couldn't even perform very basic day-to-day activities normally because I would get exhausted from it like very quickly. I couldn't go up the stairs, for example. That's like a big one.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, but after that, I had my spiritual awakening. I had this, I know, like it was like the snow was melting and the sun was shining outside. It was very lovely. And there was this vibe in the air, like everyone was talking about the end of the world on December the 21st.
Right.
And I had this thought like, okay, like if the world would actually end this year, then have I lived my life as I wanted to live it, or am I proud or happy where I am or what I've done so far? And I had this like huge realization that, oh my God, like I was living a lie or something similar. Like I had all these ideals and goals that were like set for me or like people expected me to achieve, and they just didn't resonate with me. And I haven't realized that up until that point, basically, because like that's all I've known, what like people were telling me or what I've seen from others. And I had this realization like, oh my God, like I don't even want that. So I don't want to live that life. So why am I doing it, basically? And at that moment, like this huge wave of love just washed over me, like all my body and on all levels. And I started to cry very deeply. And after that, like this huge emotional release started to happen. And it lasted for several days, very intensely. And after that, for quite some time. But like the big rush of like emotional release was in the first few days. And people thought that I have a nervous breakdown and, and stuff like that.
Right.
And maybe I was like, I don't know, I definitely my old personality was falling apart. Like my entire worldview was falling apart completely. And I kind of like did this 180 turn in just 1 week. Like people couldn't recognize me. Like I also like physically changed. I think, yeah, like before that, I very much lived this. I lived in a big city. I had an office job, a good paying job, and I lived this very lavish lifestyle with restaurants and a fancy leather jacket and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I shaved my head. I gave away all my fancy stuff, and I meditated. I started to eat vegan, and people were like, what the hell happened? Like, what is happening to you? Yeah, like, but it happened only during a few days. So for me, it was completely normal and made absolute sense what I was doing. But to everyone around me, it was like, oh my God, like, I don't did you have an accident or did you fall on your head or something? And yeah, like also the same stuff happened as with everyone else, that all of your friends have kind of like rotated, like people who were close to you like disappeared from your life, and you've attracted new people who are more in alignment with you in that stage of your life. And that's like perfectly normal. Yeah, like it can be very difficult, like if someone was like very close to you and all of a sudden your relationship becomes more toxic, or you cause each other more harm and distress than you should. So yeah, those are difficult situations, but I had those too. Like I don't know, not entirely all my team shifted, but most of them, yeah, like, or at least I like drifted away from many people with whom I was very close before my awakening.
Right. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it was a very intense, right? Yeah, and it also was very scary too, because all these weird stuff were happening during the night.
Right. Yeah.
Body experiences, which were very frightening because like I had absolutely no clue like what was happening to me. And I think that's the scariest, like when you feel like completely out of control and like in that fear mode that this makes no clue to you, but it feels very real and it's very tangible, those like out of body experiences with scary stuff and things like that. But altogether, like it was a very strange period. Like it lasted for a few months, but I never felt happier in my life. Like I was also, it was very polarized. Like at a certain degree, like I was very frightened of all what was happening to me, but at the same time, like this was the most amazing thing ever. And I was like the happiest person ever.
Wow. It's so amazing to hear awakening that was so in such a short time. That just boom, you know, like I don't know how common that is.
I'm not sure, but if any of you have read ET 101, it's like a beautiful channel material. I think it's a small user manual for newly awakened souls. And it has like a section, I don't know what they're called anymore, but it has a section with people that are in a specific group who can like awaken and go through huge, massive changes in very little time. And I like absolutely fit into that category because like I can shift very easily and transform and adapt very easily and quickly. And to me, that's the normal. I was
Right.
when I see other people, or at least, I mean, now I understand it much better than 10 years ago.
Right.
But I was able to move so quickly through so much stuff, like just a matter of days. And for other people, it takes years. And I was like, what? Like, what are you doing? Are you lazy?
Right. Right.
Like now I understand that, okay, like everyone has its own pace and their own style and way how they are living their lives and how they're processing all this stuff.
Right. Yeah, mine was much gentler, and it was in phases, like periods of it. It started for me when I was 4. I had a near-death experience at age 4, and then it was just it just would happen over time. Moments would occur, you know. The change in diet was a recent development over the past few years. I was full on carnivore. Like there were times where I was just eating meat. I didn't need potatoes or anything. I was like, I'll just eat this, you know, and like I'm essentially a vegan now. And it wasn't like an ethical choice. It wasn't like me sitting down saying, okay, this is better for my body, I'm going to start doing this. It was that my body kept starting to say no. You know, like I would notice my body would react in an unpleasant way to certain things, like an allergy, you know. And in fact, in America, I've heard that there are groups of doctors talking about how more and more people are becoming allergic to meat, which I thought was kind of interesting. And that's just their way of describing.
Very dense. Yeah, like meat is very dense and it keeps you in a lower vibrational state too.
Right. And that is also a solution to a lot of the stuff that we're going through. I mean, I'm not saying what to eat and what not to, but a lot of places, people have been talking about eating live food, and live food means like raw fruits and vegetables, you know. And it's okay if you want to cook them and stuff, but just the higher water content, the easier it is for your body to go through these ascension symptoms and these things that are occurring right now, you know. And so for me, I went from full on carnivore to almost a vegan, but that took like 2 or 3 years, you know, of like slowly taking things out of my diet and then learning to listen to my body, because for most of my life I didn't. Like there were things that I would do that my body would like try to say no about. I would even feel like incredibly ill as a result, and I would say, I'll just power through it and my body will get used to it again, you know. And like and there was no trust in my bodies, like it was like a child that didn't trust the parent. And so I found it difficult to learn the language of my body for a little while there. But then as I listened to it more and more, the more it was easy to understand it and what it was trying to tell me. But the big occurrence for me, like I had a lot of these different things. I had near-death experiences that were really impactful for sure. But the one that really hit home for me the hardest was at the beginning of this lockdown stuff that had happened forever ago, March 2020, the ear ringing that didn't stop. At the end of that whole month of March, then I had a visitation of 3 beings, and they put this triangle light around my eye, and it snapped something. It started an understanding that I've been ignoring before, I guess. And so that was my big profound moment, was this visitation. These guys helped me. They realigned me, and kind of like, it looked like they took away a blockage for me.
Yeah, like we accumulate so many, I know, like blockages, like dense energies into our being. especially like if you're very empathic and sensitive. And I think most of us are like almost like energy sponges as well. Like wherever we go, we also like attract stuff from other people, their problems and their energies. And yeah, like it can be very difficult to navigate. It also can like hold us back into a denser state of being. Yeah, like that's also like when we're going through all this stuff right now, the awakening. It's like very good to like do not monthly, but daily like maintenance on yourself, like higher vibration. You said it like very well, like changing your diet to this lighter stuff like fresh fruits and vegetables. You don't have to just eat that. Some people prefer it. Like I don't. Like I prefer to like mix things up. I like more seeds and stuff like that rather than just fresh vegetables. And I also eat fish from time to time. But yeah, like changing your diet, becoming more lighter, that also helps to clean you. You become much clearer too. Like I've noticed when I completely stopped eating any type of meat, like my mind became much clearer. Like I could focus much more easily than before that when I kind of consumed meat. So you can try that out too. Also, I think we talked about fasting a few live events ago. It's like very good for transformation, like letting go of stuff. Like that's when you let your body basically do maintenance on itself, because like if you constantly eat, then it's in a constant processing mode, processing whatever you're putting inside your body. And when you let it like empty out, then all the cleaning and maintenance processes start after like 12 hours. And it's like superb for like going within and doing great cleaning on yourself on all levels. Like you can do it also energetically too. It's like a superb combo for transformation, like letting things come through and like letting go stuff. If you are able to do that, like I'm not able to, don't have any fruit for my like days on end because I have to do some physical stuff too, and it's very difficult in that state. But you can balance that out however it works for you, basically.
Right. Yeah, I did that too. And I, one of the things to point out is that most theological schools of thought, religions and stuff, all have some type of fasting embedded into their belief systems for a reason. Like not just religions, we're talking about just spiritual belief systems and way of being. And it's very, it heightens that spiritual experience, your connectivity to it. And just like you said, you can heal so much easier when you're not weighed down by that extra stuff. Like I'm actually doing a juice thing the past couple of weeks now. Like I just don't want anything else right now. And it's not a diet. I'm not looking to lose or gain weight. It's just, that's what my body's asking me to do. So like, if I don't have an interest in it, then I'm not going to make myself do. I'm not going to force my body to consume something that it doesn't want right now. And just like Guardian said, I forgot to mention that too. I am very big into seeds and nuts, like all day long. But not right now. Right now I'm doing juice and teas and a lot of water. But that's just, the water thing has been a thing going on for a long time for me though. Like for a lot of people, just extra water, and if you don't mind, I'm changing the subject just for a moment. There's this thing that I keep getting is that we need to talk about from before is that this is all happening like a trickle, right? Like for the longest time, there's been this big dam that's been holding back the water, and we can call the water whatever you want, but it to me, it feels like the light, like the spiritual element of this planet and of the all, and it's been kind of held back. And I've been watching this, and Guardian and I have been talking about this for some time now, probably a year at least, but watching this, the crack, and this is the visions or the images I'm being given is that this dam has been cracking and there's been like a little bit of water coming out at a time, and it needs to happen slowly so more people have the chance to accept that that's what it is in their own way. Because if you suddenly just flood everybody, they're going to try to respond by getting a raft and avoiding the water, right? And this is allowing people to slowly come to terms with this, what reality truly is. And so that's what's been happening in the past little while, this past few days, really, that trickle had slowly turned into a small stream, and now it's like a river. We really are in this space of this river where it's just flowing down. And as we see people panicking, this is why I'm telling you this, is that there are a lot of individuals now that are going to be going into this heightened panic space, and don't feel, I encourage you not to join them. There is nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing bad occurring. This new experience, this new reality that we're moving into right now is beautiful, and it's been something we've been waiting for a long time, and it's why we're here. It's just that as the people get to decide whether or not they want to accept the old reality or the real reality, it's going to take them some time, and in the meantime they're going to run around like chickens with their head cut off. I can't think of a better reference. and that's for them to do, and it's if that's what they choose to do. And in the meantime, don't buy into it. All this panic, all this the great distraction is nothing more than just that. You're safe.
Yeah, like that's where it's always been, basically. You have never heard good news from the news.
Right.
It's always the end of the world.
Right.
Yeah, like that's also like goes back to what you have said, like like that. Oh, hello, Cosmic. Thank you for joining us. Like God is love, and the opposite polarity of that is like fear.
Yeah.
And like everything here is about like dragging you into that state as much as possible. And like media also is like one of its main, way how it works. Like that's all its purpose, basically. You don't really find anything, or at least not much stuff that's like uplifting. It's like assisting you to awaken spiritually, to being upbeat, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just lost my train of thought from that sound. It broke my flow. Okay, so like everything here, including news, is there to bring you down into a fear state, to lower your vibration. Because if you're in fear mode, then you are not able to access your creational gifts. You're not able to tap into your heart more easily, to manifest more clearly, to think clearly. Also, it's also very problematic. So it's also blocked state, very much so. So I bet many of you have had this experience, like when you're in fear or something very frightening is happening, that you freeze up. And that's the state that many of the parasitical beings want you to be in, because that's where they can easily come in. But if you're able to navigate that and go past it, I think, as we were talking about it, that Earth is the realm of illusions. Mm-hmm. And basically this whole fear mongering is also a big way of promoting this huge illusion that people can choose to buy into or not. Right. Everything has its if you listen to something on the news, probably in some cases it can be complete a lie too. Some stuff do have basis in reality, but they're exaggerated. I know everyone should find their own way of dealing with it. I tend to not to listen to it. I found it to be very toxic energetically. I only see stuff when I go to someone and news are on, and after 5 minutes I feel this I'm in this super agitated mode and stressed out. And I'm how the hell can they watch this thing for an hour? There's so much negativity pouring out on the screen. But I think the best way we can navigate is always find your center and absolutely choose not to buy into it. It's an illusion, basically. Mm-hmm. And it's always the end of the world. That's the main story always for years. There always has to be something that you need to be afraid of. That's the main theme of everything. But you don't have to be. That could be, what an analogy to find for it. Like there's this little mild thing that could be like an irritation or something, but the media finds a way to like pump up the story to be like this end of the world thing that's going to kill everyone. And people choose to buy into that too. But yeah, like you don't have to if you don't want to. Like it's your reality, it's your decision. And like always when you're, yeah, like it's very difficult like when you're surrounded with people who are very much into these stuff and they're like emanating this tension because like they buy into that story basically. It can be very difficult to navigate that. But that's, yeah, that's why you have to do like daily maintenance on yourself and always like try to stay in your center and center yourself. And even if you don't manage to do it and you like have a very, I don't know, like a very uncomfortable experience with someone, then like that's completely normal too and perfectly okay. Like we're human. All of us are human and we're not gurus or perfect or anything. And after it's done, like try to find some alone time and like collect your thoughts and yeah, like do some kind of meditation to clear yourself and to bring everything back into alignment and life moves on basically. You don't have to be hard on yourself for
it. And that was perfectly fitting that you brought that up because we were talking about our diet and you know, we consume more than just food and liquids. We consume what we watch, the music that the people, the energies that we choose to be around, and you know that what we put into our mind is even more impactful perhaps than the food that we put into our bodies in some cases, you know. And like, and going back to that spectrum of love and fear, near fear is also shame. It's also low self-worth and those kinds of things. And most, I find anyway, from my experience, I notice when it comes, even most advertisements are trying to bring me to that shame, poor body image kind of stuff, you know, and that brings me closer to that fear spectrum side of the spectrum. And then hey, it's 1144, 144, 140,000. I see that all the time. But like, you know, also, you know, opening up to that experience of just reminding us to be kind to ourselves. You know, there's no shame. This is, you're a human, you're a spirit having a human experience, and as a human, as this human body form that we're in, we're flawed, and there's a lot of things that are difficult to go through, you know. And for instance, you know, Guardian and I have been doing this for a while, and so if you are trying intentionally to have a pure diet and you fall short of your chosen ideal, you know, there's no reason for you to feel shame or feel bad about that. You know, just keep doing it, whatever your body's calling you to do. You know, there's no reason to feel, just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, like also what you were like saying with all the advertising, like that's also kind of a form, like the news, like a type of conditioning you to think about yourself, to see yourself in a certain way. And basically, like I think like all of these images and these ideals that are like shoving people down people's throats, basically, like how you should look, how you should live, how you should behave, what you should be buying, or what type of lifestyle you should be having. And it's basically all geared towards like you feeling less than worthy, or you're not good enough because I'm never going to look that handsome as that guy, or I'm never going to be as tall and thin as that supermodel lady or some kind of celebrity. And you don't have to be. Like we're all unique. And yeah, like, and just think of it like all of that conditioning stuff is geared towards like you feeling unworthy, that you're not good enough. I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve to be appreciated because I don't look like that overly photoshopped supermodel that even the supermodel doesn't look like that. Like I've seen some kind of interview, I think like with Sandra, not with Sandra Bullock. I think it was with Cindy Crawford or something.
Yeah.
That she would really like to look like Cindy Crawford.
Right.
She doesn't look like Cindy Crawford.
Right. Yeah, and presenting this unattainable ideal in between commercials about McDonald's.
I
You
never
know,
seen
and
a commercial for that. Like, what did they haven't?
well, just fast food commercials that are like drawing you into and they use like color systems and stuff to trigger a desire to eat that food, and then they also make it so it's readily available for everybody to eat all this really bad food. At the same time, in between, there's these commercials of this is what you're supposed to look like. And like you said,
Oh, yeah.
these supermodels aren't those people. Like I've watched those
But
too.
they don't eat at
Selection.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, like we also have this conflict with like money. That's also what I've like noticed. Like you have this conditioning around money that money is bad. So also like very much like religion is like pushing this stuff like only the poor people can get into heaven or something. I don't
Right.
remember. Sorry. But they're very much like pushing this ideal that money is bad and everyone who is like filthy rich are bad people or stuff like that. But at the same time, they're advertising to you this image that in order to be happy, you need all these stuff and you need all this money. You have to buy all these stuff and like this. Even if you're like not aware or conscious of it, there is this huge like internal conflict and chaos inside of you. Like, okay, like I'm like between the two stuff. Like there's a huge conflict of like value inside of myself. Like I know, like I wouldn't say like poor, but I can afford stuff, and theoretically like, that's good. But also I'm miserable because everything is telling me that I should buy those stuff for myself, and this is also like this creating this internal conflict within us too, just like with your looks and what you eat. And while you're eating at McDonald's, you should look like a supermodel, which is like
Right.
impossible.
Right. Exactly.
It's unattainable.
And it breaks your manifestation process. Like you're sending out it's not the words that we use, but it's how we feel about them, or it's not the thoughts that we have, it's how we feel about them. And if we accept the conditioning of believing that there's something flawed about having money, then we're going to ask the universe to not give it to us,
Like
and
you're rejecting wealth or abundance into your life because you have this belief system that is a bad way of living, basically, and you're like pushing away subconsciously all those stuff from you.
exactly. And most people, when they talk about money, they talk about what they can or can't afford. And that's another contract or agreement that they're making to them for themselves, is whether I can afford something. And by presenting all of this, like this happy life full of people, with like whatever new car it is and the disgustingly expensive suit or whatever, at the same time, so they're putting that out there for you to confirm to yourself, I can't afford that, to say that to yourself, and you're again and again and again making that agreement to keep individuals away from having what the false narrative understanding is that those with money have power. And power, the word power has been corrupted in such a way where power has been looked at now as being something where you can control and dominate, and the word power is not that. That word is intended as something to empower, to give power to others around you. For if you do not share it, or when you share it, it expands it. It makes it more amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like also what I don't know, like what is accepted as power in our culture, like also what you've said, this type of control and manipulation is like considered power. But it's also like when I had all these downloads and I researched stuff and reflected, and also all this like comes down as like a false sense of power. Like it gives you this false sense like I can control stuff, but really, can you?
Right.
Like you're only like buying into this illusion that I can control people's lives. And also, like if you, since we have like this generational conditioning, all those people buy into that belief that he can control our lives. And you're together, you're like creating this whole narrative stuff of how power actually can work, but it's all like an illusion. Like I also love, like I think I've shared that like a year ago. I don't know, like if anyone is watching Star Trek, then you're amazing. There's this one episode in, I think it's in the next generation, when they find some kind of space capsules where they have like rich people have frozen themselves in the 21st century so they can be like revived in some kind of utopia or something like that. And they're like being brought back to life, and they're in this completely different reality. Like Earth has and humanity has moved beyond all that like limitation and the need around money and power and all that, and they're like still stuck in that paradigm. And yeah, like the guy is like very much like upset, like he lost his bank account and all that stuff, and all his wealth and all that. And like he's like, okay, like, but what is the challenge right now, like in this day and age? And it's basically the whole thing is that okay, like the whole challenge is to like work on yourself, to improve yourself, to basically be the best you that you can be, so you can like enrich society in the whole picture through you being the best version of yourself as you can be. And all that stuff around money and like controlling other people's lives is basically an illusion. That such kind of power is an illusion.
I love how Star Trek is so poignant and on point. Like it just it always has been too. In fact, didn't the first series, the original, wasn't that written by somebody who was present for some of the raw channelings for the
Yeah, I heard about that too. I think Gene Roddenberry was going to these channeling stuff himself, I think.
Right. That's
but also, I think like they were like people who were like doing this show, I think they were also like getting downloads from from the future or ET races or something to like implant this idea into the collective so people can be more accepting of it, or like it won't be as foreign when you actually experience that reality.
Right. And that's true for all art form, like writing, music, art. We're channeling. There's more than that, those few examples that I used, but that's all a form of channeling. We're connecting to the universe and bringing in information, and as it comes in, it as things occur, a lot of times most of geeks like me say, hey, that's just like that movie or just like that episode, and but and there is that question of what came first, the chicken or the egg concept of like, did that create this reality by everybody accepting that to be something, or was that telling us something? And I don't know. I think that it could be a little bit of both. However, as the information comes in, for instance, the over inundation of the use of the zombie apocalypse concept. Like people have been talking about zombies.
Years, like all types of media, video games, series, movies were like overflown with zombie apocalypses.
Right.
For some reason.
And then there was a time when I really started, when I had a couple of profound awakening periods. Like I said, the 2021 happened, was the most recent, but there was the one that happened around the solar eclipse. So that was like 2017, I think. I don't remember. Yeah, 2017. But I started to get this like aha moments happening like over and over again, and one of them was that the zombies were most of the people already. Like they were already in this place of zombiehood, and they're trying to tell us that. They're trying to wake us up and be like, look guys, this is what maybe you're not eating brains, maybe, but it's just poignant, and it's interesting because that information is always made available. And yeah, it's some form of channeling when you're writing, for sure.
Yeah, like especially when you're like bringing in new and radically different ideas and like materials that are like super revolutionary or like set a new bar for everything that has come before. I definitely think like you're bringing in some kind of higher information, and you're especially like creative people, or I don't know, this is the same thing with the chicken and the egg, but I kind of noticed this pattern that like usually like creative people, I don't know, like maybe you're a writer, musician, you'd like to paint or do sculpture or whatever type of performance that you would prefer, are usually have a, I know they're more inclined to have the spiritual side of them. But again, this chicken and the egg, I'm also an artist, so
Right.
the chicken and the egg, like maybe what if like, oh, spiritual people uh, like to this is the only way we can express like what's inside of us or like what we're going through, like what we are feeling is like through writing music or painting something or doing a movie or creating some visuals. Like this is like the only means in this physical reality that you can like actually like share with other people what you have inside of you.
Right. And there's something else I want to point out just because it was cool is that, like one of the, I've had a few near-death experiences and it's fun to kind of like be in that space where you're not really coming, you're not really gone. And so, but there's a lot of people that kind of want to know what was like before you come back. And one of the things is that there's like this longing for being able to create the way that we do, to the creation abilities that we have is a unique thing somehow. And I find that very fascinating. Like the way that we're able to create music from nothing. We're able to create like you were saying with art. It starts at a piece of paper and a color, something that you can and it's chalk. All of a sudden it's art, and like and the longing that so many entities have for having that experience is kind of interesting. It seems so simple and so regular for me that we would have that.
Yeah, like it also like came to me like, okay, like we're bringing in all this higher information, like translate it into art or like some kind of physical, tangible form of art. And yeah, like it also can be very activating too, because there can be also activations for us. Like they remind you of something, they implant like an idea inside of your head, or brings up something in you, like especially with music. I think like music is like the closest to this higher vibrational thing because like it can instantly like touch you, like it's basically sound vibration. So
Right.
yeah, music can be like super activating, bringing emotions up. Like yeah, like I think that's yeah, like you can also have like very interesting spiritual experiences by listening to different types of music, like whatever resonates with you, basically.
Definitely. I've been the past little while, a couple of years, there's some really cool stuff on YouTube for like higher frequency music. I can never pronounce these things. I'm more familiar with reading these things, but the sulfano frequencies, I think is how you say it. It's I'll send you a link. It's really cool, but like they're just all these higher vibrational forms of music, and like this is something that you probably already know, but like in the 40s, they changed the way that radio sends out the signal from a harmonious place to a disharmonious one. And so those broadcasts, and that was the same time that Mother Gaia sent out a distress signal to call in these 144,000. She's the three waves were initiated by that call. And I don't believe in coincidences. So the fact that happened at that same time, that they changed the music, they changed the way that it was being broadcast to a disharmonious one. Anyway, all all it is just looking up certain hertz. I'm sure some people probably have already commented on it, what the hertz are. I'm actually not familiar with it. I just write higher frequency music, and then like I'll get all kinds of different, and I think 528 is one of them, but I probably said it wrong. But and you can get these I have them play in the background when I'm doing things, and I can tell immediately a change in everything about me when I start to play it. Like, it's almost that, you know, when there's something really annoying in the back room of the house that's just bothering you, this noise, and then finally it turns off and you're just like, ah. I find that experience when I play this music sometimes, most times. It's just that, okay, we're good. You know, like it helps, and it does raise the vibrational frequency of the space that's within it.
Yeah, like I use it during meditations. Like any of you know metaverse? No, not metaverse. That's something else, but it's metaverse. I don't know.
That's the
Oh my
Facebook
God.
thing.
Yeah, like that's the Facebook thing. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm
The
probably going to
multiverse?
share, not
Multi
multiverse, the YouTube channel who does very awesome high vibrational music. Uses different tones, but he also mixes it with music. So basically, all these tones are in the background, but they're like intermixed with very beautiful, like background music, like tones that you can listen during meditation or sleep. I like to listen to it during my meditations. Like there is, I know, like if you can search it on YouTube, the primordial sound of Om. Like that's one of my favorites right now.
I'll
Or
look it up.
I think it's called some kind of realignment, or yeah. And it also writes the hertz for it too. Like I love those during meditation. It's like it brings you like your whole body and like mind into like a specific state of being. I also like listening to these musics during meditation because like it helps me to keep focus. Like I'm like if I'm in complete silence, then I know like after a few minutes my mind can like drift away, away in a different direction.
Hmm.
But if I focus more on the music and visualize what I want to bring about or what I'm doing, then I feel like I can keep much better focus on it basically.
Definitely. And it is
So
the metaverse. It's metaverse music. So he had the name first. It's spelled with two T's.
have you found that? I found it. No, it's called metaverse music.
Yeah.
I think since Facebook did his rebranding, he's changed his channel.
Right.
Now it says music after it. Okay, I'm going to paste it into the chat box right now. Like, check it out. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I love those things too. Yeah, thank you for bringing them up. And there's a lot of different options. There's a whole bunch of them. And I have a couple of um playlists that I listen to on my channel. I'll actually make one public if anybody's interested. It's just a collection of things that I listen to. It's really helpful.
okay. Does everyone want to share anything before we close?
I would like to just remind everybody about the gathering next Tuesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There'll be a Zoom meeting. It's not going to be aired or recorded. It's just a bunch of us light family that are just gathering and connecting. You know, like there's a lot of different solutions to these ascension symptoms and what we're going through, but one of the most profound that I have found is connecting with others like us. You know, until I started doing that, there was almost a constant for the most part. Some, even if it was just a little smaller, it was always there. This feeling of alone and desperation and like questioning self so often. And then when we started connecting with one another, that there's just that went away. And it's not just that, but as we talk to each other, we find solutions. You can say what's going on with you. And there's this huge group of people who have gone through the same thing. And if they don't have an answer or a solution for your problem, just having someone say, yeah, I get it, is a massive solution in itself. So if you feel inclined, please, you're more than welcome to come and attend. I'll have the link on my channel on that day.
On that day, not before.
Well, I'll probably do it before.
Subscribe to Higher Vibrations YouTube channel and stay tuned so you can receive updates and when she posts the link, basically.
Great.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you Higher Vibrations for being here and hosting this amazing private Zoom meeting. It was very awesome this Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining, and everyone have a wonderful week. And yeah, like see you next week then.
Thank you.
Bye.